Hey guys, welcome back. Joe Brunsman, Insurance Broker of the Stars. Tonight we're talking about backups and some of the legal consequences that could potentially befall a business if they don't just go through all the necessary steps, get the attorneys involved, forensics, and that type of thing. I'm making this video because I get a lot of questions from MSPs when they go, hey, this looks like a really just straightforward ransomware event. Why does my client need to get an attorney in forensics and pay their insurance deductible? And I get those same questions from my own clients who've been impacted directly by ransomware. And they're like, well, we think this is just a basic ransomware event. Why do we need to go and get an attorney involved and do all the forensics and go through all the contract language when we can just restore to backup? So I'm going to go ahead and dive on into that. Now, before we do that, I don't want anybody to think that I'm just dogging on backups here, because I think that everybody needs backups. Everybody. Now, if you're an MSP out there, I would say you should be offering that to everybody. So that's 3-2-1 backups. Regardless, you need to do that for your own potential liability. Now, arguably, you should be offering immutable backups as well. And if you get a chance, look into something called cyber storage. That's new. If you have questions about that, reach out to MSP360. They're not sponsoring this video. I don't get paid to say this. But we were talking about that stuff recently, and I thought it was pretty cool. And if you're an MSP out there and you're not offering all these additional levels, the question is, are you meeting a reasonable standard of care? I would argue probably not. If you're out there and you're saying, hey, one backup is enough, or they only have one backup or no backups, and there's nothing in your documentation where you've offered these additional levels of potential security for your clients, I think that could end up poorly for you. So please make sure you're taking this very, very seriously. Now let's talk about an actual event. So an accounting firm fell victim to a ransomware event, and this was December of 2020. And it wasn't until May of 2021 did the firm allegedly discover that PII and PHI had actually been exfiltrated. So there was both access and acquisition of covered information on top of a ransomware event. Now, it's very easy to just kind of silo these ideas in our brains of, hey, this is a ransomware event, this is a data breach, this is a business email compromise. But often they will actually go together. So there was a Coveware report, I believe, that came out recently that said something like 70% of ransomware events also include some form of data exfiltration. So don't get into this mindset of, hey, it's just a ransomware event. We can't really say that because we don't know until the forensics and the attorneys get involved. Now, December 2021, so you're going to see kind of big gaps of time here. The firm announces it had experienced a data breach. And notably, and I put this in there on purpose, the firm responded that they had made cybersecurity improvements after the event. And this gets into a previous video I made talking about how you're going to increase your cybersecurity posture either the easy way or the hard way. Now, in this circumstance, it was the hard way because obviously now they're going to be worried about class action claims. If they don't do this, they're going to be worried about attorneys general coming after them. And of course, their cyber insurer is effectively going to demand these additional controls be put in place as well. So notice on the firm's website, this said, hey, the firm cannot confirm specifically what information, if any, was viewed by the unauthorized person. However, on August 24th, 2021, the investigation confirmed that the information present on our systems at the time of the incident included names and social security numbers. So that's bad. Now, what's the alleged impact here? Well, according to the complaints filed with HHS OCR, so this is under HIPAA High-Tech, it was over 70,000 people that were impacted by this. Now, the class action claim, spoiler alert, is 270 some odd thousand people. Plaintiff allegations, well, they're saying the firm failed really two things. One, to properly safeguard the PII, and two, failed to provide timely notice to individuals. Now, what is this whole timely notice idea? Now, generally speaking, the breach notification law that applies following some type of event, there could be overlapping laws, there could be conflicting laws, yet another reason you need an attorney involved here. But different states have different thresholds on who and what particular office or multiple offices need to be notified within that particular state if their residents were particularly impacted, right? So the breach notification law that generally applies, it may have nothing to do with where your business is actually located. It's actually where generally your clients are residents of, right? So you could see where, let's say you're next to a military base, you might have to deal with all 50 different state and territory breach notification laws. It's just yet another reason you need an attorney involved, and yet another reason you should probably have cyber insurance. Now, continuing on those allegations, participants' knowledge about what PII the firm lost, as well as precisely what types of information was unencrypted. Now, keep that in mind. If generally something's encrypted, it doesn't count as a breach per se. So just another reason to do that encryption. Now, if you're just a business watching this, I'd say, hey, reach out to your IT folks, talk to your MSP, see if you can encrypt some of this critical data so you can try and utilize what are called safe harbors within the laws and avoid this whole process. Moving on, and in the possession of unknown third parties was unreasonably delayed by the firm's unreasonable notification delay of approximately a year after it first learned of the data breach. So what was the outcome of all of this? Well, firm agreed to pay $900,000 to resolve the allegations. And my understanding here is they didn't admit that they'd done anything wrong, but that's kind of just normal here where, hey, we're just going to shell out a bunch of money and move on with our day. Now, defense costs on that are unknown. However, that's likely going to be six figures as well. So the last time I got any kind of inside knowledge on this from an insurance company, they were saying average cost to defend, to defend a class action claim was about $300,000 to $350,000. So now you're looking at possibly like 1.2 million that was shelled out there. And this is not like some outlandishly large firm that fell victim to this. This is a firm, they only have like 7 or 8 partners, so they're not that big. But also remember, they're still under investigation from HHS OCR. And that's going to be a problem. And you'll see it right there. I redacted their name just to keep them out of the news here. They have plenty of bad publicity already. But that also could get really ugly. So don't forget this video. I'll link to it right up above. This was $1 million penalty, and it was only something like 20,000 impacted individuals, whereas the allegations we're seeing on the HHS website, it's over 70,000 that are implicated here. So this could be another big problem for these guys. Now, when it comes to the MSP side, I made this video. It's MSP liability considerations after a client's cyber event. And my 3 main recommendations there, or rather I should say considerations there, are identify, contain, and refrain. So I'm going to put that in the link in the description down below. If you're an MSP, I'd recommend, hey, after this video, please go watch that. That has some additional information there. But for the businesses watching this, the gist of it is, there is a limit to how far your MSP can go. Generally they are not attorneys. They're not providing legal advice. They're not forensics experts, right? They're not going to be an impartial party to this. So very beneficial for you to understand that, hey, they can identify a threat. They can try and contain that threat. But past that point, hey, business owner, you got to go. If you don't have cyber insurance, find an attorney that's competent in this area. Get that forensics done. Do your own due diligence and risk of harm. Now, there's always a question here of, hey, is this a ransom? Is it a data breach? Is it both? And this is but yet another reason you need an attorney, because ultimately, it just kind of depends. There's no one overarching data security law here, so you really have to be careful about what it is you're doing, and that, of course, that's why specialists exist. So the definition of what a breach really is, or a data breach, it actually varies way more than you would imagine. So here's some examples. Let's just say you're a tax preparer and we're only looking at the state breach notification laws. Generally, that's going to be access and acquisition of covered information, so PII. But there's a bunch of caveats there that I've talked about in other videos. Now, let's say you're in the healthcare sphere. Well, that's generally just access absent an appropriate risk of harm analysis, which is really done by the forensics piece. So you got to get that taken care of there. And then lawyers, let me just make my head smaller. You'll see here, this is from the American Bar Association, a data event where material client confidential information is misappropriated, destroyed, or otherwise compromised, or where a lawyer's ability to perform the legal services for which the lawyer is hired is significantly impaired by the episode. Now, that's just the American Bar Association. They're just kind of putting out the broad umbrella standards. But then, of course, each state has their own bar association, so then it's going to depend even more than that. All right, so kind of the moral of the story here is when someone goes, hey, what's a data breach? What's a ransomware event? Does a ransom event rise to the level of a data breach? My answer on this, being arguably the best-selling author in the nation on the topic of cyber insurance and cybersecurity law, is I don't know. We got to get forensics. You need true legal advice to assist you moving forward. All right, making my face big again. All right, so moving forward, what do I want you guys to take from this? Like, one, hey, backups are crucial. 3-2-1 backup strategy, immutable backups. Please start looking into cyber storage. That's only part of the ultimate solution. There's all this additional legal due diligence that likely needs to be done, even following something that just looks like a ransomware event. Okay, even if you only think it's a ransomware event, what you think or what I think or what the guy down the street thinks is completely irrelevant. All right, you need to go through a risk of harm analysis. You're going to need the forensics. You need an attorney to advise you moving forward. Multiple and immutable backups, man, those are going to be vital for you. I still want you to be able to minimize the downtime. So when inevitably you fall victim to some type of cyber event, minimizing the, how would you put it, total business impact is going to be crucial for you. So the longer you're down, probably the more money that's going out the door and the less revenue that you can actually generate. So having that fallback is going to be absolutely crucial for you. Businesses, please have cyber insurance. I think I've harped on that a couple times in this video here, but there is a very, very good reason why cyber insurance policies generally provide for attorneys and forensics. And then, hey, if you're an MSP, make sure you understand and communicate on the limits of your service. All right, so remember, identify, contain, refrain, because there's all these additional considerations out there where even if you just think that it was a basic run-of-the-mill ransomware event, there's all this other stuff. I didn't even get into all the additional considerations with contract language that you would have just no oversight with. All right, and hey, when in doubt, see competent legal counsel, of course. All right, if you enjoy this, you learned something, you found something useful, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things the YouTubers say. If you click right above me here, the algorithm will give you another video. And if you click over there on my beautiful face, you can subscribe to my channel. All right, guys, with that, stay safe.